We turn now to consider one final category of Greek verb. These verbs are known as me verbs. The formation of these verbs is fundamentally different from all the verbs that we have studied so far, which we might describe as omega verbs. That is, they decline following luo with the omega ending. Me verbs are structured differently and do represent some new learning. Students can be overwhelmed by a brand new verb table that follow the me conjugation. But it's worth noting that there are over 1,300 me verbs in the New Testament, so these do represent a significant part of what we will be reading in the Greek text and therefore do require some attention. By far the majority of me verbs involve the present active, indicative, and participle, as well as aorist active forms, which means that we don't need to learn all the me verb paradigms at this stage. But we do need to become familiar with the concept and get used to recognizing particularly certain me verbs that are especially frequent in the New Testament. Let's have a look at the table. We have three different types that vary slightly. One following tithemi, which means I place or I put. One following didomi, which means I give. And one following histemi, which means I stand. Let's look at tithemi first. In the first person singular, we have tithemi. Second singular, tithes. Third, tithesin. First person plural, tithemen. Second person plural, tithete. Third person plural, titheasin. Now just notice this pattern. The longer vowel, the eta or ita, that we see in the singular forms shortens in the plural forms to epsilon. This pattern is common throughout the three verbs. The long O in didomi shortens to the omicron in the plural, and the long eta, ita, in histemi shortens to an alpha. Now you'll notice that the personal endings are similar across all three verbs. In fact, once you get a feel for how these verbs are formed, they're predictable. We've got the me form, from which the conjugation derives its name in the first singular, then a sigma ending, then a sin ending. We see those throughout the other singular forms. Then we have a men ending across all three, the te ending across all three, and the asin ending across all three. So the thing that's different about these three is the connecting vowel that joins the stem to the personal endings. So let's look at didomi. We have didomi, didos, didosin, didomen, didote, didoasin. And then histemi, histemi, histes, histesin, histamen, histate, histasin. Noting that the first person singular form can also appear as histano in the New Testament. Now, these are the present active indicative forms. They do represent some new learning, and previous patterns for verb forms will help a little bit, but we really do need to learn the me verbs on their own merit. The good news is, as I've pointed out, there are some patterns to be discerned and some strong similarities, parallels across the three key me verbs. And the reason we're studying these three me verbs, by the way, is because they are by far the most common me verbs in the New Testament. We turn now to consider the present active participle for didomi. These participles, the good news is, are fairly predictable and based on participle endings that we have seen before. So we have didus, didontos, didonti, didonta, didontes, didonton, didusin, didontas. And the feminine present active participles are predictable, and so are the neuter ones, so I won't go through those. And these participles for didomi are representative of the other two me verbs as well. So that's it for this lesson. The main thing is to get on top of those indicative formations for dithymy, didomy, histomy. We'll have some more me verbs to explore in the next lesson.